Welcome to this clinically pressed research review. This research review came from our very own Dr. Jagum. He found this and we thought it was really interesting. But the name of the article was The Metabolic Effect of Breaking Up Prolonged Sitting with Stair Climbing Exercise Snacks is what they call them. And this is an area that seemingly is kind of becoming a new look at how can we break up our day to maybe have some good benefits on health, especially if we're stuck sitting all day, which could potentially be happening more with just the way the job market is playing out, and people working more remotely at home, maybe not having the option for a stand-up desk or just not needing to move around as much to talk to coworkers because it's all via video. But what they looked at is trying to break up prolonged sitting throughout the day, like I said, using these quote-unquote exercise snacks. What they're hoping is that it would lower, or could potentially lower, postprandial insulin, glucose, free fatty acid responses. And postprandial being after a meal, after consuming calories, and how that responds in your body. Is this something that it could do to help maybe control that? Going all the way back to a book that came out quite a while ago, Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Body. He experimented with something similar in trying to do some push-ups, some air squats. I think there was something else, but I can't remember the name of it. Around 30 minutes before meal, 30 minutes after, to maybe potentially help control this as well. And he found some interesting data on himself, again, N of 1, so take it with what you will, but that could potentially help kind of control some of those markers, especially the glucose, and what that did within his body. But anyway, moving on to this study. So they actually did 2 studies kind of within one, randomized crossover studies. They looked at sedentary groups for stair climbing groups. So there was actually 4 groups. The first study was 12 young, healthy weight men. This they kind of wanted to see as how that would respond in this group. The second group was 11 overweight / obese, based on BMI, mixed grouping of individuals, and looking at their response as well. Each of these groups, whether in both sets of the study, was in the sedentary and stair climbing, ate the same meals that were consumed. They tried to do a high glycemic index meal just to try and make sure that they were going to see potential responses. And then both groups were controlled for 9 hours of sedentary behavior. Obviously, the exercise snack group did their stair climbing, in this case, in between. And so what that stair climbing looked like was doing three flights of stairs, ascending as fast as you could for 15 to 30 seconds once per hour. So not a huge time commitment, but breaking up each hour. And so what they found is that in the young, healthy weight men, there was no significant difference in markers. Nothing necessarily changed across the board. There wasn't a lowering of any of those markers with the people that did the stair climbing versus the sedentary. So in that case, there wasn't much to be seen. In the overweight or obese group, they found that both insulin and free fatty acids significantly decreased in the stair climbing versus sedentary group, but there was no change in their total glucose or triglycerides. And so they did see a difference between the 2 groups there. So what they're ultimately seeing as a potential suggestion from this is that these exercise snacks can help potentially reduce detrimental cardiometabolic effects of sitting. And so when they were looking at that postprandial insulin, that could be one that has been found to potentially be an independent predictor of cardiovascular disease, morbidity, and mortality. So something as simple as just getting up and doing those 3 flights of stairs quickly could potentially help blunt some of that, and that could potentially set up for your long-term health. The reason this study was unique is that it was trying to look at shorter, high-intensity stair climbing versus a 2 to 5 minute walk, which has been done in others. Just to see if this high-intensity kind of interval training, if you will, but the stair climbing in this instance can have an effect, but also could it be done quicker, because the workday gets fast and furious. Things are always going on. Trying to find 5 minutes, sometimes in an hour, as much as it seems like that would be something we would be able to pull out, isn't always the case. And so this isn't their attempt then to figure out, is there something else we could do to help increase compliance yet still get some benefit out of it. They did think that it may not provide the same effect in healthy weight individuals, and there's some difference opinion on why that is, but ultimately getting up and moving in general is going to be good for you. Even though that these did show the response in insulin and the free fatty acid, it did not necessarily suggest that it could achieve all health benefits that some long-term physical activity of longer durations could. And so this could be a small part of it to help maybe enhance it, not adding too much to the day, but not necessarily at this point in the research replace some of those longer durations, going for longer walks, doing some longer steady state stuff. Just reading a different article about fitness barriers, looking at 150 minutes total of some sort of activity where you're up and moving around, walking per se, and doing that in at least 10-minute intervals. So there still is great utility in those, but this could be a small yet highly efficient addition to those activities. The researchers definitely noted some limitations on this. Small sample sizes for both. Obviously, when they looked at 10 young, healthy white men, that did not account for women or other groups there. 12 and 11, not huge samples when it comes to looking for those results, but at least it is a start. So there were some limitations there that they did address. But again, when we kind of take a look at, what does the evidence say and what are we doing on evidence-based versus, what is the utility? First is this, do no harm is always number one. And, barring you having some physical condition that prevents you from doing stairs well, if you can manage 3 flights of stairs as fast as you personally can go, 8 to 9 times a day, there is some potential benefit in that could be really useful to you. And so that would be something to consider adding into your day if you find yourself being sedentary and you're not able to get up and get moving. Even if you are getting up and get moving, is there a way you can potentially add stairs into it? I get up and move around quite a bit during the day personally, but it's just down the hallway to a different room to help out. And yes, I might get some steps in and burn some calories, but I'm not really exerting myself necessarily when it comes to going up and down stairs on a regular. So this could be something that I could potentially try as well, just to see if I can get a little bit more out of it when it comes to just looking at long-term health. So really interesting study with this concept of quote-unquote exercise snacks. So highly recommend, if you want to, check it out, but this could be something worth implementing during your day. If you do try it, let us know how it goes, and we can definitely see what else comes out in the research in the future. So until then, we hope this made the complicated simple, and we look forward to talking to you on the next one.